the Indiana Fever lose a very, very tough one. A squeaker as the New York Liberty, a team that one could argue is the best team in the WNBA, win by way of a squeaker. Some controversy on that last play, no doubt about it. In my opinion, it looked like Natasha Cloud probably fouled her. It was not called. The referees love to swallow their whistles at that time, that part of the game. But then again, they did not swallow their whistles with the foul call on Lexi Hall against Sabrina Ionescu just 3 seconds earlier. By the way, Stephanie White had a challenge. She didn't bother to use it. She did not bother to use it. You could tell there was real and true offensive contact. It looked like to the face of Lexi Hall. Nah, I'm not going to do it. There were also 2 separate runs during this game, extended runs by way of the New York Liberty on the Indiana Fever. And in true Christy Sides kind of fashion, Stephanie White swallowed her whistle.
Chance to give the Liberty the lead.
I mean, she turns the corner and gets downhill. I don't know, Lexi Hall vertical. Maybe that's offense-initiated contact, and maybe Stephanie White's going to take a look at it.
Sabrina, Coach Brondello really wanted you guys to push the pace in this one, but the Fever seem to be matching that. What more do you want to see out of your group defensively?
Yeah, we got to do it for 4 quarters. We did it in the first. We're playing fast, exactly how we want, but now we got to continue to do that quarter by quarter.
And you made a little bit of history today. I know you're in the midst of a game, but you hit 4th all-time when it comes to scoring in New York Liberty history on on your free throws there. What do you make of that?
That's pretty cool, I guess. I had no idea, but yeah, just focus on the game.
The Indiana Fever just walked off the court with a brutal loss that's sending shockwaves through the WNBA. A tight, down-to-the-wire game against the New York Liberty ended in heartbreak, 90-88. 2 points. That's all it came down to. And while the scoreboard tells one story, the reactions, the decisions, and the frustrations say something much deeper. Something that points not at the players, but at the coaching staff. More specifically, at Stephanie White. From the opening minutes, you could feel the tension. The Liberty came in as clear title contenders, stacked with talent and known for their dominance. But the Fever weren't just here to compete. They came ready to fight. They punched first, built momentum, and even held a 10-point lead in the second half. And yet, when the final buzzer sounded, they were the ones left stunned. Fans, players, and commentators all had the same question. How did this slip away? And that's where the finger-pointing begins. Because yes, Caitlin Clark had an off night from deep, 2 of 12 from 3-point range. But that's not the headline. The real story isn't in her shooting percentage. It's in the strategy. It's in the silence from the bench when it mattered most. It's in the missed challenge. And if you were watching closely, Caitlin Clark didn't need to say it out loud. Her frustration told the whole story. Let's rewind to the final moments. The Fever were down by 2. Clark took the ball, made a move, drove into the lane, and caught contact from Natasha Cloud. The crowd reacted instantly. Even on replay, the foul looked obvious. Contact to the body, visible disruption, but no whistle. Nothing. Meanwhile, just seconds earlier, Lexi Hull had been called for a foul on Sabrina Ionescu, one that appeared far less aggressive. The inconsistency couldn't have been clearer. Here's where things went from confusing to infuriating. Stephanie White still had a challenge. She could have stopped the game, reviewed the play, given her star player, her generational talent, a chance at the free throw line to tie it up. But she didn't. She stood silent, no challenge, no argument, just acceptance. And Caitlin Clark, she didn't speak on it after the game, but her eyes, her posture, the way she walked off the court, it all screamed one thing. Why didn't you fight for me? This isn't the first time these concerns have surfaced. The Fever have struggled with rotations, with timeouts, with allowing Clark to play her game. And now, after a second straight tough loss, the tension is reaching a boiling point. Because Caitlin isn't just another rookie. She's the centerpiece, the playmaker, the one who can shift the entire momentum of a franchise, but only if the coaching staff lets her. Statistically, her line looked solid. 18 points, 10 assists, 5 rebounds. But here's the part that doesn't show up in the box score. She had 0 assists in the second half. That's not just about shooting. That's about ball movement. Game flow rolls. If your primary distributor, the engine of your offense, isn't creating after halftime, it's not just on her. That's a breakdown in system. That's poor adjustment. That's coaching. Let's talk about what did work. Aaliyah Boston was a force, 27 points, 13 boards. She was dominant inside, and her connection with Clark was undeniable. Their two-person game resembled something out of a classic NBA playbook. Pick and rolls, high-low actions, lob passes timed to perfection. When it was on, it was unstoppable. So why go away from it? The Fever had moments of brilliance, beautiful ball movement, fast break execution, defensive intensity. But the inconsistency killed them. Long stretches with Clark off the ball, lineups that struggled to find spacing, and again, no adjustments. You could feel the missed opportunities pile up. Even Clark's highlight plays, her signature step-back three, her threading passes between defenders, her drives to the hoop, weren't enough to erase the gaps in strategy. The problem wasn't the effort, it was the structure. And for fans, the worst part is knowing how close they were. A win over the Liberty would have been a statement, a turning point. Instead, it was a missed opportunity, one that could have been salvaged with a single decision, one that never came. The buzz after the game wasn't just about the final score, it was about accountability. Why didn't Stephanie White use her challenge? Why was Clark left to create magic from the wing instead of orchestrating the entire floor? These aren't small mistakes. These are systemic failures that waste elite talent. Social media lit up with reaction clips, side-by-side comparisons of the Ionescu foul and the no call on Clark, analysts breaking down every frame, fans demanding explanations. But most of all, people started asking the big question, is there a disconnect between Caitlin Clark and her head coach? To be clear, Clark didn't throw anyone under the bus.
90-88 final score, but it should be noted, this is probably the best team in the league. The Fever lost by 2, and Caitlin Clark was 2 of 12 from three-point range. All right, do you know how few games she will ever be or ever shoot? She may never have another stretch in her career like the one that started in the previous game into this game from the three-point line, right? So that just tells you if she was able to shoot like she normally shoots from three-point range, I'm not sure they don't win this game running away. And at one point, they were up by, I believe, 10 after a furious comeback that was led by Caitlin Clark.
That's not her style, but when asked directly about the final play, she said, "You saw it. No elaboration, just facts. And when a player of her caliber keeps it that short, you know she's holding back. You know she's frustrated, and she has every right to be. This isn't just about one game. It's a pattern, a failure to recognize momentum shifts, a refusal to call timeouts when runs stretch too long, a tendency to pull Clark off the ball in key moments. This isn't about letting a player play through mistakes. This is about maximizing your superstar, and the Fever aren't doing it. The contrast is obvious when you look across the court. The Liberty ran structured sets. They created mismatches. They leaned on Sabrina Ionescu's IQ and Jonquel Jones's physical dominance. Meanwhile, Indiana often looked like they were improvising. And when the strategy did click, when Clark and Boston synced up, it felt more like instinct than instruction. Lexi Hull and Kelsey Mitchell both chipped in 15 points. They were reliable contributors, no doubt. But the offense became stagnant when the ball stopped with them. Dribble-heavy possessions, isolation plays with no movement. And when the ball did make it back to Clark, it was usually with the shot clock dying. That's not how you use a weapon like her. One of the most telling sequences came in the third quarter. Clark brought the ball up, ran a high screen with Boston, drew both defenders, and lobbed it perfectly for an easy bucket. It was clean, it was effective, it was unstoppable. And then, just minutes later, they stopped running it. No explanation, no adaptation. The momentum vanished. And yet, despite all the flaws, the Fever were right there. They had chances. They had a lead. They were up by 10 after Clark ignited a scoring burst. The crowd was alive. The energy was building. And then it fizzled. Timeout mismanagement, defensive lapses, missed layups, and a complete breakdown in the final minutes. You could feel it slipping. The Liberty went on an extended run, capitalizing on every misstep. Jonquel Jones finished with 26 points and 12 boards. Ionescu added 23. Natasha Cloud dropped 16, and when it mattered, they executed. The Fever, by contrast, hesitated. Even when Clark hit her late game 3, got fouled, and knocked down the free throw to complete the 4-point play, it felt like desperation, like she was single-handedly trying to drag the team back. And that's the issue. You don't want your rookie superstar doing it all alone. Not when you've got the personnel, not when you've got a winnable game. And that brings us back to leadership, to Stephanie White, because at some point, you have to stop blaming inexperience. You have to stop pointing to tough opponents. You have to look inward. The challenge flag not thrown, the off-ball usage, the late-game silence. Those aren't player issues. Those are coaching decisions. Even the crowd could feel the tension. This game was played in Indiana, home court, packed arena, celebrities in the front row. Tyrese Halliburton was there, fresh off putting on a clinic with the Pacers. There was energy in the building. This was a moment, and it slipped away. Had this game been in New York, maybe it ends differently. Maybe the whistle doesn't come, maybe the Fever don't have the momentum. But this was their house, their game to take, and they let it go. Clark, as usual, handled the media with poise, but her silence was heavy, her disappointment was loud. There was no joy in her words, no excitement about her double-double, no silver lining, just quiet frustration. The road ahead doesn't get easier. They'll face the Liberty again, this time in enemy territory. And if there's one thing we know, it's that Clark will come ready. Shooters shoot their way out of slumps. Stars rise when challenged. And right now, she's feeling challenged. Not just by opponents, but by the very system she's supposed to thrive in. This loss revealed something bigger. A fracture in communication. A coaching style that doesn't always match the needs of its leader. And unless changes come fast, the pressure won't just fall on the players. It'll land squarely on the coaching staff. Because when you have someone like Caitlin Clark, someone who can change the trajectory of your entire franchise, you don't gamble, you don't hesitate, you build around her, you empower her, you challenge the call, you give her the keys. And right now, that's not happening. So the question is, how long before Clark says enough? How long before the frustration turns into confrontation? How long before the Fever realize that wasting even one season of her prime is a mistake they can't afford? Tough questions, tougher answers. But one thing is clear, Caitlin Clark didn't lose this game alone, and the way things are going, she's not going to stay quiet forever. Let us know your thoughts. Was this game on the players or the coach? Should Stephanie White have used that challenge? And is Caitlin Clark being held back by the system? The floor is yours.